Hi, and welcome back to Therapy Inspired. Today, we're diving into the topic that so many couples, families, and even friendships struggle with: the silent treatment. You know, those moments when someone shuts down, doesn't respond, gives you the cold shoulder. It feels like nothing is being said, but in reality, there are often a lot of things being communicated, right? My name is Darby Crosby, and I'm a registered psychotherapist and marriage and family therapist.
And I'm Kameela Osman, a registered social worker and a psychotherapist. We're so glad you're here with us.
Content shared on Therapy Inspired is for informational and educational purposes only. Listening to this podcast or engaging with our content does not establish a therapist-client relationship. While we draw from our experiences as psychotherapists, we do not reference specific clients or confidential cases. Some of the topics we discuss may be emotionally activating, and if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, we encourage you to pause, take care of yourself, and reach out to a mental health professional in your area for support. Your well-being really matters. So let's jump in. The silent treatment is something that we both hear about in some sessions. People will say, my partner just shuts down, or they won't talk to me for days. And it can feel like punishing, but they're usually trying to communicate something much more beneath the silence.
Yes, it's often not really about wanting to hurt the other person, though it can feel that way. Sometimes that silence is a way of saying, I'm overwhelmed, or you may not even realize that you're overwhelmed. It's just emotionally flooding that's happening in the body. It may be, I don't feel safe to express what I'm feeling. It's communication through absence.
Exactly. And there is a difference between taking space to regulate versus using silence as a weapon. If someone says, I need a little bit of time to cool off or to think about it, and I'll come back when I'm ready to talk, that's healthy. That's a really good boundary. But when silence is prolonged, unclear, unexplained, and it's meant to make the other person guess at what's wrong or becoming damaging, that's not so good.
Exactly. The key difference being intent and repair. With a healthy pause, the intent is to use that pause for self-regulation. The repair comes when they return to the conversation in that regulated way. With the silent treatment, it's often about control, power, avoidance. The partner on the receiving end is left confused, anxious, or even blaming themselves.
And sometimes it's a learned behavior. If growing up you saw sort of conflict handled through withdrawal, it can feel natural to repeat this. But the impact on relationships can be huge: disconnection, resentment, and even an escalation of conflict because one person feels ignored or unacknowledged.
Absolutely. For some people, silence can trigger deep wounds. It can bring up fears of abandonment or feeling unworthy of love, attachment stuff. That's why it's so important to explore not just the behavior, but the feelings underneath on both ends.
So let's talk strategies. If you're the one who tends to go silent, what can you do differently?
First, name what's happening. Even as simple, I'm too overwhelmed right now to talk. I need 20 minutes to calm down. Changes everything. It's the difference between that healthy break and using silence as a tool, as a weapon. It tells your partner this is about regulation and not rejection.
Yeah, and giving a time frame really helps too, right? Saying, I'll come back to this after dinner sets a clear expectation so that the other person isn't just left wondering when's going to happen. And if you say, I'll come back to you after dinner, and after dinner you're not ready, so you can vocalize that too. I'm not ready. I need a little bit more time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's better than that anxiety and ambiguity that the other partner might be left with. If you're on the receiving end, instead of chasing or escalating, you might say, I hear your need for space. I'll be ready when you want to talk. That respects their need and also keeps the door open. And like Darby was saying, if you're not ready, even if you weren't the one to take the break, then communicate that and agree on a different time to reconnect.
Another layer is self-reflection. If you find yourself using silence to punish, ask yourself, what am I really trying to say? Often it's like I'm hurt or I feel powerless. Or I don't think you're really hearing me? I don't know how to express this without it becoming a fight.
Silence is usually a placeholder for emotions that feel too big or unsafe to voice. If couples can uncover those hidden messages, it shifts the dynamic from punishment to understanding.
And sometimes this is where therapy helps. Having a neutral space and a neutral person to start practicing saying the hard things out loud. Instead of going through silence, you can break up these long-standing practices and patterns.
Exactly. Because at the end of the day, silence is communication, and it's not always that kind that brings closeness. What brings closeness is honesty, vulnerability, and repair.
Beautifully said, Kameela. So if you find yourself stuck in a silent standoff, try to notice what's underneath. Ask yourself, what am I really trying to say? And what do I need my partner to know?
Remember, taking space is healthy, but leaving someone in silence without an explanation can really erode trust. Small shifts in how we communicate can change the whole tone of a relationship.
And that feels like a perfect place to wrap up right here. So thanks for tuning in to Therapy Inspired.
We'll see you next time. And in the meantime, keep finding those small ways to build healthier connections.